Every thought you nurture, every belief you've had since childhood, every emotion you nourish daily is sending a signal to the universe. And you know what? You get exactly what you're broadcasting. These same situations continue to repeat themselves in his life, as if he were trapped in an endless cycle. This is not coincidence or chance. This is frequency. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up, complain about the same things, feel the same frustrations, make the same mediocre decisions, and go to bed hoping tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow is never different. Do you know why? Because they are bound to a repetition frequency, a frequency so low that they can only attract more of it. If you've come this far, it's because something inside of you knows there's a different way to live, a way in which you not only wish but materialize, not only dream but conquer. So sign up for the channel now, because what I'm about to share can completely change how you see your ability to create your own reality. And leave a comment telling me which area of your life you want to transform more. Let's get straight to the point. Universe, surprise me. I met someone a few years ago who had an impressive talent for business, brilliant ideas, above average analytical skills, and intelligence few possess. But that person lived in the most absolute scarcity. Not for lack of opportunity, not for lack of capacity, but for a mind programming so destructive that it sabotaged any chance of growth even before it happened. She said things like, "Money corrupts people. Who has a lot of money has stepped on someone to get there. I would rather be poor and honest than rich and dishonest." Look, there's no problem with having values and principles. The problem is when those values are actually fears disguised as morals. Because that same person lived by complaining. He complained that he could not travel, couldn't help his family, lived tight every month, had no financial freedom. So what is the truth? The truth is that she did not reject the money by conscious choice. She rejected it for fear of not being able to win it, or not deserving to have it. And here is one of the greatest revelations about prosperity that you need to record. Every difficulty in thriving is a direct reflection of your self-esteem. When you don't prosper, it's not because the world is unfair. It's not because you haven't been lucky. It's not because you were born into the wrong family. It's because somewhere deep inside you is a belief that you are not worthy or capable. These two emotional wounds are responsible for keeping millions of people trapped in lives that are far below their actual potential. The first wound is the feeling of unworthiness. That inner voice whispering, "Who do you think you are to want that? You don't deserve to have an abundant life. You're a fraud." The second wound is the feeling of incapacity. The voice that says, "You can't. This is for people better than you. You'll try and fail." And when these two wounds are active, it doesn't matter how many motivational videos you watch, how many self-help books you read, how many manifestation techniques you try to apply. Nothing is really going to work because you're transmitting the wrong frequency. And the universe, which does not judge, only answers. It will return to you situations that confirm exactly what you believe about yourself. Now pay attention to this truth that few understand. Everything is frequency. Absolutely everything. Your thoughts emit a frequency. Your emotions emit a frequency. Your words emit a frequency. Your actions emit a frequency. And the sum of these frequencies creates your vibrational field. It's like you're a radio station that's broadcasting a specific signal all the time. The question you must ask yourself now is, what signal am I transmitting? Am I in the frequency of scarcity or abundance, of fear or trust, of the victim or of the creator? Because depending on the station you're tuned in, you'll attract completely different people, situations, and outcomes. I call the 4 pillars that make up this frequency of EKAI: beliefs, emotions, communication, and action. When these four pillars are positively aligned, their frequency increases. When they are misaligned, their frequency decreases. And here's the detail that most people ignore. These pillars are interdependent. If you have unworked limiting beliefs, your emotions run amok. If your emotions are out of balance, your communication becomes reactive and aggressive or passive and omission. And if you don't communicate well, not even with yourself, how are you going to put something into practice? You become a hostage to procrastination. You start projects and give up on the first difficulty. Or worse, it doesn't even start because it keeps waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. And in the most tragic scenario of all, you settle. You accept mediocrity as fate. He convinces himself that it's okay to live a small, limited, glimmerless life. But deep down, you know it's not right. You know it was made for much more. And that's exactly why you're here now, reading these words. Because there is a part of you, a part that has never given up, that knows it's possible to create such a strong frequency that reality has no choice but to respond. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. But first, you need to understand a fundamental principle that will completely change your perspective on the creation of reality. There is an ancient philosophical concept that very few people know, but which perfectly explains how reality works. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a philosopher named Plotinus developed a theory that would forever change the way we understand existence. He wasn't trying to sell course. I wasn't promising quick wealth. He was simply observing the nature of reality with a depth that most people never reach. Plotinus proposed that all that exists emanates from a single source. He called that source one. Imagine for a moment a fountain at the top of a mountain. The water flows there, pure and crystal clear, and then descends, forming streams, rivers, waterfalls, and lakes. Water changes in temperature, speed, appearance, but it's still the same water. It's still coming from the same source. For Plotinus, we are exactly like this water. We are emanations of a unique, infinite, and creative consciousness. Our individual mind is just a drop from this immeasurable source. And here's the part that changes everything. If you're an emanation of a creative source, it means that creating is not something you need to learn. It's not a power you need to conquer or deserve. It's his essential nature. You're a creator now. You always have been. You can't stop being a creator. The only question is, are you creating consciously or unconsciously? Are you creating from your highest essence or from your unhealed wounds? Plotinus identified something that modern psychology would take centuries to understand. He said that the problem of being human is not to be disconnected from the source. That would be impossible. You cannot disconnect from what you are. The problem is oblivion. You have forgotten who you really are. You have forgotten that you carry within you the power of the creative source. And that forgetfulness is the root of all its low vibration. When you forget that you are part of something infinite, you begin to believe that you are small, limited, incapable, unworthy. And then he starts to create from that distorted belief. Now comes the most important part of Plotinus's theory. He explained that material reality, everything you see and touch, is the last layer of manifestation, the densest point of creation. Before anything existed physically, it already existed as thought, intention, and frequency. First in the creative source, then in the universal mind, then in the individual soul, and only then in matter. Do you realize what this means? It means that almost 2 millennia ago, a philosopher was already saying what quantum physics would confirm much later. Everything that exists on the physical plane was first born on the mental plane. His house, before it was built, was an idea in the architect's mind. His mobile, before it existed, was a vision in the mind of an inventor. Your current life, before it became your reality, was a frequency that you emitted. You can't create a different reality if you keep emitting the same old frequency. And here is the crucial point that separates those who really transform life from those who consume only motivational content. Plotinus taught that the way back to the source, the way to reconnect with his conscious creative power, is not a path of addition. It's a deception path. Nothing external needs to be added. He needs to remove the layers of illusion, conditioning, and false beliefs that are blocking his natural connection with the source. That changes everything, because it means you're not broken. You're not incomplete. You don't have to become someone you're not. You just have to clean up what's obscuring who you really are. Think of your mind as a mirror. The natural function of a mirror is to reflect light perfectly, but when the mirror is covered with dust, stains, dirt, the reflection comes out distorted. The light continues to come. The source continues to emanate. But the reflection is not clear. Her limiting beliefs are the filth in the mirror. His unprocessed traumas are the stains. His destructive emotional patterns are the accumulated dust. And the inner work, the real work of transformation, consists in cleaning that mirror. Don't add more layers. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. Don't force positive affirmations while your subconscious mind screams the opposite. But in taking away, in dissolving, in releasing everything that is not truly his. And when the mirror is finally clean, something extraordinary happens. The reality you project becomes clear, powerful, magnetic, because there is no longer any interference between who you really are and what you're creating. You stop creating from who they made you believe you are and start to create from your real essence. Plotino called this process epistrophe, the return to the source, the return to its true nature. And he made it very clear that this return does not happen only through rational thinking. It is no use that you understand intellectually that you are a creator if your emotional structure, communication, and actions do not reflect it. The return requires a complete transformation, a purification at all levels. This is where the 4 pillars of the ECDC come in. When you work on your beliefs, you are not putting something new in your mind. You are removing the lies that block your connection to truth. When you balance your emotions, you're not creating something artificial. You're cleaning the channel so that your natural energy flows unhindered. When you transform your communication, you are aligning your words with their essential frequency. When you act consistently, you are materializing in the physical world what already exists on the subtlest planes. This is the removal work that Plotino described. And when you finally do, stop trying to force reality to obey you. You simply become the frequency that naturally attracts what you desire. Because it's no longer fighting against its own nature. It's flowing with it. The mirror is clean. The source is accessible. Creation occurs naturally. And reality has no choice but to respond. Now that you have understood that reality is an emanation of your mind, you need to understand what prevents most people from manifesting what they want. There is such a common pattern of behavior that you probably know someone like that. The person who keeps everything, who is afraid to spend a penny more, who lives as if the world were going to end tomorrow, and she needs to protect every crumb of what she owns. And I'm not just talking about money. I am talking about people who feel affection because they are afraid to give themselves and suffer, who hold opportunities because they fear choosing badly, that they cling to words because they are afraid of the reaction of others, who sustain their own lives and never live fully because they are terrified of the possibility that something will go wrong. This behavior has a name, attachment. And attachment is one of the most destructive frequencies that a human being can vibrate, because when you cling on, you're declaring to the universe that you don't trust the natural flow of life. He is saying that he believes in scarcity, limitation, finitude. The person lives as if there were a limited amount of everything: money, love, joy, opportunities. And here's the irony: the more you hold on, the more you lose. The rule of the game is exactly the opposite of what fear teaches. You let go, you come back. You cling to it, you lose. When you hold on too tightly, you stop the flow. Money stops. Relationships suffocate. Opportunities disappear. Why? Because you are so busy grabbing what little you have that there is no space left in your hands to receive anything new. Imagine that you are with your fists completely closed, holding some coins with all your strength, and the universe wants to give you gold bars. But you can't receive. Your hands are busy, closed, trapped by fear. More than 2,500 years ago, a Chinese sage named Lao Tse wrote a text that would change Eastern spirituality forever. Tao Te Ching. If we could sum up the essence of this text in a single word, it would be flow. Lao Tse taught that there is an invisible force that pervades the entire universe. He called this force Tao, which means the way. Tao is the natural flow of life. It's the intelligence that makes the sun rise every day, that turns the seed into a tree, that makes your heart beat without you having to think. The Tao is the silent order behind apparent chaos. And what was Lao Tse's central lesson? Don't fight, don't hold, don't resist. He said that water is nature's softest element, and yet it wears down the hardest stone. The flexible beats the rigid, the soft beats the hard. Water holds nothing, water flows, and so it is invincible. Now think with me, what is the opposite of flow? Hold, break. And what makes a person hold, and break? Fear. Fear of losing, fear of not having again, fear of not being enough. And that fear manifests itself as resistance. Every time you squeeze too hard, you resist the natural flow of existence. He's communicating to the universe. I don't trust you. I don't trust there's more for me. I need to hold this because if I let go, it's over. And the universe, which is not punitive, simply responds on the same frequency. If you vibrate scarcity, you receive scarcity. If you vibrate fear, you receive situations that generate more fear. The Buddha summed up all human suffering in a single sentence. The root of all suffering is attachment. Attachment to what you have. Attachment to what you want. Attachment to how things should be. Attachment to people, situations, results. And what is attachment in practice? It is resistance to flow. That relationship that has already died, but you insist on maintaining. Attachment. That job that is destroying your mental health, but you're not leaving out of fear. Attachment. This money that you do not invest. Do not move, do not use because you are afraid of losing. Attachment. And here's the key that will set you free. Attachment is resistance. Resistance blocks flow. It blocked flow, stopped life. But the opposite is also true. He let go, eliminated the resistance. He removed the resistance. Life flows. It flowed, the frequency rises. The frequency rose, reality changes. But calm down. That doesn't mean to be irresponsible. It does not mean going out spending everything, leaving everything, abandoning everything without judgment. Taoism does not teach irresponsibility. It teaches intelligent confidence in the flow of life. He teaches what Lao Tse called Wu Wei, effortless action, action that flows naturally because it is in harmony with the right moment. Think of a river. The river doesn't hold up the water. The water comes, passes, and goes. And that's exactly why the river is always full. Because he lets it flow. If the river tried to contain every drop that passes through it, it would become a swamp. Water still, water rotting. His life works exactly like this. Money needs to circulate. Love needs to circulate. Energy needs to circulate. When you cling on, you turn your life into a stagnant swamp. When you let it flow, it becomes a river always full, always moving, always alive. And how to apply this in practice? First, identify where you're holding too much. Where is the fear of losing? In which area of life do you have your hand closed? In money? In relationships? In control? In opinions? In time? Secondly, investigate the belief behind it. Why do you hold on? What do you think will happen if you let yourself go? If I spend, there won't be any more. If I give up, I'll suffer. If I trust, they'll betray me. These beliefs are the root of resistance. Third, practice letting go consciously. Release the need to control every outcome. Release the fear. Release the attachment. And this is where Seka comes in again. His limiting beliefs about scarcity are forms of resistance. Money is hard. Good people suffer. I can't trust. Each of these beliefs is a closed hand that blocks the flow. His fear emotions are pure resistance. Fear of losing, of being powerless, of being deceived. As long as fear rules, you cannot open your hands. Their shortage communication reinforces resistance. Every time you say, I don't have any money, it's hard, it won't work out, you're telling the universe. Grab everything because here is missing. Their lack of action or action driven by fear is materialized resistance. Do not invest out of fear. Do not engage in relationships out of fear. Do not try out of fear. Working at Seka is, in essence, learning to open hands. It is to release what needs to be released so that the new can finally arrive. It's cleaning the mirror. It's removing the resistance. It's returning to natural flow. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. You stop chasing results and start naturally attracting what belongs to your high frequency. Reality does not obey because you are forcing. Obey because you're finally aligned with who you've always been. I know you may have read all this, agree with every word, feel the truth resonate within you, and still return tomorrow to the same old patterns. Not because you are weak or inept, but because real transformation does not happen with information alone. It happens with consistent application, with daily practice, with an environment that supports you as you change. That's why I created this channel, to be that space of continuous transformation for you. Every video you see here is a piece of the puzzle of your evolution, but it only works if you make a real commitment. Now, I need you to do 3 simple but powerful things. First, sign up for this channel and ring the bell. Because every week I bring content that will keep you on the right frequency, reminding you who you really are. Secondly, enjoy this video. When you like it, you're telling the algorithm that this content deserves to reach more people who need that message. You are literally helping to raise the collective frequency. Third, and most important, leave a comment now telling me what was the biggest insight you had when watching this video. Which part has touched you the most deeply? Where did you realize that you are holding too much? When you write, you process. When you process, you deliver. And when you deliver, you transform. Your journey of elevation begins now, and I will be here with you every step.